Fractal made a new case, and it actually looks like a new case for once. They're really switching it up here. This is the Era ITX. It's a mini ITX, as the name suggests, and just look at how tiny it is. Look at that. Oh, it's so cute. So it's actually a 16-liter case, so it's fairly large for a small form factor chassis. For comparison, I've got the Den Case A4. This is a 7-liter case, and this is the one that I use for traveling around and stuff. So yeah, compared to some small form factor cases out there, particularly the ones that cater to the enthusiast crowd, it is definitely a bit bigger. You could still travel with it though, depending on your tolerance and stuff. I probably wouldn't, because I like to go really small, like throw something in my backpack small, where you definitely can't do it here. But then again, that's not really the point here. Fractal isn't trying to make a case that you take on the go, but rather a case with a small footprint that's got a sleek and elegant design that sort of just blends in with the household. On top of that though, Fractal's also touting this as a capable water cooling machine, because you can squeeze a 240mm radiator at the top of the case, and we'll check that out more in just a bit. But for now, let's just admire the outside. It kind of has this very sort of minimal but somewhat stylish aesthetic. It's got this subtle diagonal line on 3 of the panels. Front panel I/O is pretty simple. You've got a power button, 2 USB 3.0, 1 USB 3.1 Type-C, and an audio combo jack right there. On either side of the case, you get these thin ventilation strips. It does have some removable pop-out dust filters on the other side that are really easy to clean and remove. For the top panel, you get a couple different options. Right here, we have the mesh panel that's installed. It's toolless, magnetic, so that's kind of nice. It comes off very easy. And then we've also got a tempered glass option, which may not fit the best because I still have the plastic on. There you go. You get the idea. You can't really see much in there, especially because the power supply mounts towards the front at the top of the case, so you might be able to see a little bit of your motherboard here, but it's just kind of like a sleek, hey, look, it's glass, it's pretty and stuff. Obviously, this is going to limit your airflow a lot more than the mesh top, because you can see there's a slight opening around the sides, around the edges. Probably not the best if you're gonna stick hot running components in here, but it is an option. All the cases, regardless of color, because this thing comes in like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different colors. All the colors will come with the mesh option, but some of them will come with a tempered glass panel, and others will come with like a wood veneer type panel, which looks pretty cool. On the back, let's take a look at the back here. So we do get, oh, it's a cute little baby fan, 80mm fan. Babies are cute, but they're also noisy, so we'll see how that sounds in just a bit. Cut out for your motherboard I/O. This, I believe, is a pass-through for your power supply, since, again, PSU's at the front, so there's gonna be a pass-through cable that routes to here. And then we've got a 2-slot design for GPUs. Not 2.5, not 2.75, 2 slots. So we're gonna have to be a bit selective with the GPU we put in here today. You'll notice the GPU is like right at the bottom of the case, where you can mount 2 120mm fans if you don't have a GPU installed, or if you only have a single slot GPU installed. But if you have a standard 2-slot card in here, no fans will fit at the bottom, even slim fans. It's pretty much right up against the bottom, which is a little concerning. You can see there's 0 ventilation at the bottom here. Instead, we have the ventilation on the sides, which I think this is a great idea. You know what I mean? A lot of cases will have the actual ventilation on the flat on the bottom, but depending on how tall the feet are, that can limit your airflow. I kind of like this design that they went with. It's a really nice concept. We'll see how it actually works in practice. Let's crack these side panels off and take a look inside. So first of all, push pin tabs. That's smart. So completely toolless. And here's those removable dust filters I was mentioning. They pop out pretty easily. Probably much easier when you have 2 hands to work with. There we go. Okay, so easy enough. Did I mention the panels are aluminum? Yeah, they're aluminum. They're very lightweight. They look really nice, but they are fingerprint magnets, and they look like they're probably prone to bending because it's a relatively thin piece of aluminum. It probably wouldn't take much to put a dent in them, which is yet another reason I wouldn't travel with the case, but I think Fractal's intending this chassis to be in a desk environment anyway. So let's take a look inside here. The first thing I notice is this removable bracket, which is held in place by 4 Phillips head screws, and this is for some drives. You can mount a single 3.5-inch drive, or I believe 2 SSDs. So you can mount an SSD here, another one down there, or you could pop one of these bad boys in, something like that, except on the other side of the bracket. To the right of that bracket, you'll find another bracket slash cage that can house more drives. So you can put yet another 3.5-inch drive in like that, or it can house up to a pair of 2.5-inch drives. Just to the right of this cage, we actually have 2 power supply brackets. This is one for an SFX or an SFXL unit, and then we have one for an ATX unit. So you actually have some flexibility here in what kind of form factor PSU you choose. Obviously, if you go with an ATX full-size unit, you are gonna encroach a bit on whatever space is down here, so it might interfere more with your graphics card, assuming you have a longer GPU. But what is kind of cool is that they have these PSU brackets on rails, so you can actually adjust them, move them up or down as you see fit. Right now the ATX bracket's in its topmost spot with the SFX in the bottommost spot, and depending on your configuration, what you're trying to do, that can come in handy. One thing I forgot to mention about the top panel is that once you've removed it, you actually have access to a removable dust filter, Bada bing, bada boom, just like that. Now you can see that we've got adjustable mounting strips for a 240mm radiator or dual 120 fans. It's worth noting that having the PSU at the front of the case isn't going to affect airflow much because there's nothing going on here. I mean, there's no ventilation, there's no mounting points for fans. In fact, the only mounting points for fans, again, are the top, the rear, and the bottom of the case. And you can't even use bottom fans if you're planning to install a full-length graphics card in here that's 2 slots. Since that's bound to be a very popular configuration for a lot of people, a lot of users are going to have to rely solely on the top and rear of the case for active cooling, as there's really nowhere else in the case to mount fans in that situation. It makes me a little concerned for the graphics card because I feel like the natural path of airflow would be kind of like right around here, right? Maybe a little bit coming in or out from the side panels. But then like the GPU seems a little bit isolated down here. Like it's kind of in this forever alone corner where not much action in terms of airflow is happening. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it yet. We'll see how effective these little ventilation strips are. All right, let me pop this bad boy off really quick. All right, so here's a better look at our only pre-installed fan in the case, this little 80mm guy. At least it's all black and has a black cable. That's nice. This is a 3-pin connector there, and it is adjustable, so you can move it up or down depending on your needs. The motherboard tray also has a very generous cutout, so if we wanted to get access to like a CPU cooler backplate or an M.2 SSD that was mounted behind the board, we could definitely do that because that pretty much spans the almost the entire dimension of a mini ITX board. That being said, there isn't a whole lot of room behind the motherboard tray for routing cables. Like this screwdriver, standard number 2 Phillips head screwdriver, the width of this screwdriver, that's about how much space you get. So most of the cable management, I would assume, is going to be done just kind of right here out in the open. Maybe it does look like there is a Velcro tie, there's a Velcro strap back there. So most of your excess cables are just going to be bunched right here out in the open, which isn't a huge deal depending on who you ask, especially because this case has no side panel window. It's pretty much closed off, and that could be a blessing or a curse. I mean, if not being able to see inside your system might allow you to buy cheaper parts that don't really look as nice, but doesn't really matter because no one can see them. Kind of just depends on how rigid you are about aesthetics. Did I mention the fan mounts at the bottom of the case are dual 140s and not 120s? I can't remember if I said that, but I did now. And the way that you would actually install those is by removing this bottom panel. It looks like there's a couple Phillips head screws right there that you remove, take the panel off, and then install the fans. But again, you can't do that if you have a big GPU. All right, I'm gonna stop blabbing about this empty case and do the build so I can continue blabbing about a fully loaded case. 3, 2, 1. All right, the build is complete. It went pretty smoothly. I do have a couple notes though. First off, I wanted to mention really quick that my sample did not come with the PSU extension. I thought it was gonna be in the accessory box, but it wasn't. Don't worry about that. The retail version will come with this pre-installed in the case, but they had to ship it to me separately, so just something to note there. Everything else is good, so let's talk about this really quick. So for starters, everything fits more or less comfortably in here. You can see we've got a 240mm liquid AIO, which is terribly scratched up. That's from a different project, so that has nothing to do with this case. This case did not do that. I had no problems getting it in. However, the AIO tubes, if you've got some longer tubes to deal with, they may slightly interfere with the rear 80mm fan. This one's fine. It's just barely a couple millimeters away, but something to be aware of. You could also zip tie them so they're out of the way, something like that. This power supply is the Corsair SF600, so this is an SFX unit. This is not SFXL. It is just a standard SFX, so it's actually shorter than SFXL. It's about as short as they come in terms of supported PSUs in this case. And you can see we actually have quite a bit of clearance here between the PSU and radiator fan. You can see the PSU extension is right angle, so that helps keep it low profile. We did still have to mount the PSU bracket at its lowest point, however. Bottom clearance is looking good too. We have plenty of room between the GPU and the cables here. If you were using an SFXL or just a standard full-size ATX PSU, then you definitely start to encroach on this area a bit, something to keep in mind. There's not a whole lot of room for managing cables behind the motherboard tray, so larger cables like your 24-pin ATX will probably have to go directly from the PSU straight to the connector. So if you wanted the inside of this case to look pretty at all, not that it would matter to some because there's no window on the side panel, but if you did, you definitely want to go with a custom length cable for it to look its best. I stashed the rest of the excess cables more or less in front of the GPU and behind it. Let's take a look back here. So you can see I just crammed a bunch of stuff down here because there's really not a whole lot. This is very unforgiving. You see these couple AIO and fan cables. That's about as much cabling I would suggest putting on this side of the tray. Remember, these side panels are push pins, so any sort of resistance against them will cause them to not stay flush with the case. That also brings up the 8-pin cable for our CPU. I would have loved to route it in between the motherboard and the motherboard tray, and then again through here to make it cleaner so it's not on the front of the motherboard, but I could not fit the 8-pin connector through here. I tried to split it in two. One half went through, but the other half that actually has the locking pins to connect the two 4-pin connectors would not clear the space. So I would suggest if you are installing a 240mm radiator in here, to install that and the fans first, power supply second, and then once you have your 8-pin cable routed where you want it to be, then you mount the motherboard on top of it. That way you have a cleaner routing job in the end. Also want to point out that large generous cutout is looking pretty good. Plenty of access access to the CPU backplate and whatever M.2 slot may be behind here. Last thing to point out here is that the GPU went in pretty easy. It is a 2-slot card, which is the max this case supports. It's an RTX 2070 Super Founders Edition. You can see this card fits comfortably in here, but there's not a whole lot of extra room if you were to go with like an add-in-board partner card that had a larger cooler on it. So you definitely want to make sure that you check your clearances before you purchase a graphics card for this case. On that note, I think we're ready to test temperatures and noise. Let's do it. Okie dokie, artichokes. I just spent the last couple hours testing and I've got some interesting results for you. But first, specs. We have a Ryzen 9 3900X 12-core 24-thread processor on an Asus ROG Strix X470i gaming motherboard, 16 gigs DDR4 3600 speed, and an RTX 2070 Super Founders Edition. I tested the case in 3 different configurations. The first of which was mesh top panel and no side panels. That means the right panel and the left panel were completely removed. The next one was simply slapping both side panels on and keeping the mesh top panel on as well. And then the third test was both side panels on with the glass top instead of the mesh. So let's talk about the CPU temperatures first. The way I tested CPU temps was in Adobe Premiere Pro. I did a basic render test, 4K H.264. It took about 10 to 12 minutes with the 3900X to render that file. Our max temp with the first configuration of no side panels was 71 degrees C. So actually not too bad, but once I threw the side panels on with the mesh top, that increased to 74 C. So it did get notably hotter. It is measurable, but not a whole lot hotter. Like I actually expected it to get much warmer than it did. And I was equally surprised by our third result when I put the glass top on, that we only increased by 2 degrees, hitting a max temp of 76 C. So really not too bad there for a 3900X 12-core processor. You know, I was really expecting a little bit worse. I am pleasantly surprised. For our GPU thermal testing, I ran Unigine Heaven 4.0 for 20 minutes for each test. The first test, which is no side panels and mesh top, resulted in a max GPU temperature of 81 degrees C. So not so hot. I'm actually very hot, but you know what I mean. This confirms my suspicions from earlier that the GPU ventilation at the bottom here without any sort of active cooling is just not quite as efficient as it could be. What's really interesting though is that when I did the second test with the side panels on and mesh top, that our temperature actually decreased by 3 degrees, hitting 78 C. My theory is that since the GPU is somewhat recessed, or at least the GPU fans are somewhat recessed to the bottom of the case, that putting the side panel on actually forces them to intake air more effectively from those bottom vents. Whereas with the side panel off, you don't really have a vacuum being created as strongly, and that could potentially affect the amount of air that those fans are bringing in. Just one theory, I'm not exactly sure if it's correct or not. And finally, with both side panels on and the glass top, we did see a max temperature of 80 degrees C. So still 1 degree cooler than when we had no side panels at all, but definitely not super favorable for as far as GPU temperatures are concerned. The other behavior I observed is that as the GPU temperature increases, so does the CPU temperature, because with a card like this, with an open air shroud, it's kind of ejecting all of its hot air inside the case, which is then being pulled in by the radiator fans, being passed through the radiator fins, and that obviously heats up your CPU a bit. So when our GPU temp jumped from 78 to 80 C, our CPU temp also jumped from 67 to 70 C. So it actually increased the CPU temperature by 3 degrees just from the GPU heating up. The temperatures in the Era ITX are definitely not fantastic. Obviously, we're dealing with a small form factor case here, but I think there are a couple of ways that Fractal could have made things a little cooler. If you're not throwing powerful hot running components in here, it's obviously less of a concern. But then again, if you're spending the amount of money on this case, what is it, 159 US, then a lot of users are probably wanting to stick an 8 or 12 core CPU in here with a high-end GPU. So it is something to be aware of. And the other thing to keep in mind is that with rising temperatures also comes increased noise output. We did one test with the mesh panel and the other with the glass panel. Obviously, both side panels were on the whole time. But as you might expect, the case was noisier with the mesh panel than it was with the glass panel. So the trade-off here is noise versus thermals. The mesh panel runs cooler, but it's also a bit noisier. Here's a listen. And if you just want my subjective statement of the acoustics on this system with the components that we have inside, under load, it does get a bit noisy. Like Wendell from Level 1 said, it's like teetering on the verge of annoyance, but it's, you know, it really depends on who you ask. It's a little bit loud for my liking, I will admit. At the same time, if you're the type of person that's like, hey, I'm only gonna fire this up when I'm gaming, and when I'm gaming, I'm wearing a pair of cans. You know, I've got some headphones and I'm just listening to in-game sound, I can't hear the case anyway, then it's not gonna be much of an issue for you. So it really just depends. But that said, it can get a little noisy if you're pushing it hard. Overall, it's a pretty neat case, and I'm glad Fractal's trying something new. I do like this case. It's fun to build in. There's some other possibilities here that I haven't really explored today in terms of, you know, component selection and layout. At the same time, I do think there were a couple missed opportunities when it comes to cooling, which is obviously important in a case like this. People spending this kind of money on a chassis, a lot of small form factor enthusiasts out there are going to want to cram hot running components in here and are no doubt going to be looking for a way to keep thermals in check. This is also a very competitive market that Fractal's getting into here. There's a ton of really good small form factor enthusiast cases now that cost in the same ballpark, $150, $200 plus, that are just really good solid cases. The Dan Case A4 is one of them. You've also got the N Case M1, the Sidearm T1. There's so many options now that Fractal has to be looking at their competition closely and make sure they're offering a comparable amount of performance and quality with their own products. But overall, not a bad case, good attempt on a first sort of mini ITX, like really mini ITX, much more small form factor than the Defy Nano S, which is also a great case, but kind of in a different niche there. So great job, Fractal. You guys let me know what you think about this case down in the comments below. And yeah, thanks for watching. Toss a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Get subscribed for more tech content on the way. Check out Bitwit.tech, our merchandise store. We've got a lot of stuff there to buy and wear. Thank you guys so much for your support there. Feel free to check it out. Apart from that, thank you guys again for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Pew!